Hello, citizens of YouTube land.
Hey.
Scoot in so that way you're in frame. There you go. Perfect. Sorry about that. Anyways.
I don't really know what we're doing here at the moment. It's your president and your VP. And we're back once again with another horror film because this time we're focusing on trilogies. And we're going to be kind of going through that over the next month or so, barring our little vacation coming up. So this time it's Warlock the Armageddon. And it was directed by Anthony Hickox. It stars, once again, Julian Sands as the titular Warlock. Chris Young, Paula Marshall, and Joanna Pakula. Distributed by, of course, Trimark Films, once again. Produced for a budget of $3 million and only made $3.9 million at the box office. Currently, I can't really give you guys a Rotten Tomato score on this because there really didn't seem to be one. But it does currently hold a 5.4 on IMDb. So this movie is a standalone sequel, guys. It's not really continuing the first story necessarily.
Similar to Leprechaun in a way.
Yeah, which we already did all of those. Go back, check them out in March of the Leprechauns last year.
Yeah. And maybe next year we'll finally get to Leprechaun Returns.
Yeah, maybe. So this movie begins in like the 1700s New England, I want to say, or maybe a little bit earlier than that. And so there's these group of people known as the Druids, and which, by the way, guys, they get this completely wrong. But for the story, it, I guess, makes sense because that's not really what Druidism is. But they have to cast this incantation, basically, to keep the devil at bay. But some Christian soldiers come in and basically kill all of the Druids. But the ritual doesn't happen. And because they're considered part of the devil and whatnot. So then you're flash forward like a couple of 100 years into the future. It's now the Warlock. He gets reborn again. I don't know. I would say that it's not the same Warlock, guys. I would say that. And he's reborn during some kind of like lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse.
It's a lunar eclipse.
And he is reborn because he has to find these 6 stones, these 6 rune stones, basically, to bring about his dad, the devil. Yes, he's apparently an antichrist in this film. So he is reborn via pregnancy. Yeah, it's wild. It is crazy because this lady who has one of the stones, mind you, around her necklace, she is like exposed to the lunar eclipse, and that somehow makes her like super pregnant, super fast. And he is born basically full grown, like not a baby, a full grown man born out of a pregnant woman. It is that wild and insane. So he ends up killing his mom, who is like freaking out and running away from him. But the devil somehow possesses her briefly to explain why he's there and to help bring about Armageddon. And he tells her, he tells his son, the Warlock, that you gotta use the map off of the false creator, i.e. the woman that was just impregnated with the Warlock, as the map. And so last time it was from LA to Boston. This time it's from New England to LA. So they kind of did a reversal as far as that went.
Yeah, and also, I don't get how convenient were all the stones just magically in the United States. Like,
every single one of them.
Yeah, every single one of them was in the United States.
And so he is after the stones, and he shows up at this like New York City type of gala, right? And he is he infiltrates the gala because one of the stones is around this like black lady's neck, and or yeah,
Like the
and,
fashion lady.
yeah, the fashion lady. She says, he says, I'm interested in this piece, and you will give it to me willingly, and he tells her that he's a warlock and that he can prove it. So he shoots both of them like 50, 60 feet in the air. And then he tells her, do you wish to go higher? So she tells him yes. So it's now like 75 to 100 feet in the air. And she willingly gives him the stone. And then he promptly causes her to crash through the roof. And it's actually kind of spectacular that they pulled it off with the limited budget that they had. And so while this is happening, the druid ancestors who had basically been the warriors or whatnot to fend it off for so many years, they realize that the warlock is now uh, there, and it's up to these two teenagers who mind you have no training whatsoever, and so they go through this whole long process of them being uh, needed to be trained. But meanwhile, the townsfolk have gotten upset and believe that the druids are satanic, just like before. And there's all these signs that the warlock is accomplishing his goals, like dead birds and plagues and uh, raining blood at one point. So I mean, it's a really crappy effect because they could have went like, I don't know. They could have went with just like straight red food coloring dye to make it better, but it looks like it's just straight rain until you come across the main characters. When they get out of the rain, they have blood on their face, basically.
And then he like tastes it, and he's like, tastes like blood. And at this point, I'm like, no.
Yeah, so the warlock then he interrupts for lack of a better term, a freak show at a carnival, and there's this short-natured lady. I'm not going to go completely offensive here or anything. There's a short-natured lady, and she's a psychic, and she understands what the warlock is right away. But the freak master, let's call him that because that's what the warlock calls him, he is skeptical about why he's there, and he tells him about the stone. And the freak master, is willing to sell him the stone for $100. And the warlock tells him it is worth more than you can possibly imagine. And so then they get into this scenario where the freak master is caught in a mirror maze. And the warlock is able to, he basically tells them, if you can guess which one's the real one and which one's not, I'll let you live. And the guy goes, you think I can't tell you which one's the real one and which one's not? And he goes, joke's on you, I'm getting out of here. And then the warlock says, well, that depends on what side of the mirror you're on. So it leads to this pretty cool looking scene where the guy is basically like, yeah, he's no longer among the living because of the warlock. It's pretty crazy. So all of this kind of keeps going, and the warlock's doing his thing, and at one point he needs a ride from from New England to LA. So he tells the cabbie, I need your garage. Says it just like that. And so the New Yorker basically makes fun of him. And, and he, well, ends up killing the cab driver. So then you got this scene
where
this,
where the warlock is basically in the backseat of the cab as the cab driver is dead driving it.
it's What can I say?
And then the gas dude, he's like, "Hey, Mister, I think your cab driver is dead."
Yeah, he ends up killing the gas station attendant. It's still in the Camaro Super Sport. I think it's a Camaro Super Sport.
By the way, the Warlock has style.
Yeah, he does. He's all in black, as usual, because, well, you know, black magic, that kind of thing. So, I'm kind of wondering, though, where did he learn how to drive? They never explained that to us.
He's a Warlock. He just uses his magic to drive.
But he was clearly driving the car.
But he's a Warlock. He's using his magic to drive.
I guess maybe he knew ahead of time how to, or it was initiated him. I don't know. But so this whole thing kind of wraps up. And the town, and meanwhile, the two druid warriors are practicing their really, really, really bad CGI. It's because one of them's wanting to make a baseball. He's got like this baseball that he can maneuver around, and he attempts to start a fire on the barbecue, but he actually catches a tree on fire instead. And one of the druid warriors, though, is like grandfather or something. He basically takes it upon himself to go try to stop the warlock. However, this doesn't work out. Nope. And you don't see what happens, but you see the aftermath. And it does not work out for him at all.
Yeah, like this dude, legit, you don't see what happened to him, but you see the aftermath, and the elevator's all bloody and stuff, and it's like, that Warlock messed him up.
Yeah. So, it all comes down to the big final confrontation. And the Warlock is like, please, you old men, pa-pow, pa-pow, kind of knocks him around a little bit. And he goes, who is the one that is here to challenge me? And it turns out to be this basically scared teenage kid, maybe no more than 17, 18 years old. And he had been in love with the other druid warrior princess, or whatever you want to call her. We'll just call her that. It just makes sense, I guess. So he has these powers, and she has these powers, and they're basically telekinesis and
pyrokinesis.
Yeah, pyrokinesis and telekinesis, because they can manipulate the objects. And they're all kind of upset too. Like both of them can hear the insects and the trees talking to them. It's weird and bizarre.
I was like, isn't that just schizophrenia though?
It could be. I should mention again that is not really how druids worked in like Celtic society. They were basically like the high priests of the Celtic religion, and it had kept the traditions and histories of the religion alive, and that's what their main purpose was for. So it has nothing to do with any of this that they've made up. So, like I said, it all comes down to this big final confrontation. And the Warlock is able to kind of mess both of them up pretty easily. And there's this truck that is involved too, though, because the lunar eclipse happens. He has all 6 stones.
Actually, it's a solar eclipse.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I want to talk about this real quick.
Okay. You go ahead.
So whenever they are, whenever the solar eclipse is happening, they're trying to make it dark. But it's clearly daylight outside, because all they're using is a blue filter to make it dark outside. It is awesome, because then you can clearly see it after they like defeat the Warlock, and you can clearly see the blue filter
Hold on a second,
away.
Hold on a second, though. So the Warlock, during the solar eclipse, has had all the rune stones, which apparently the whole time, by the way, the like ritual meeting place of where he needed the stones was actually in this town. I mean, that was pretty convenient for him. So he has them all set up. Yeah, and then this like arm comes out, right? And you get to see like the CGI beast arm, and you start to see the devil as he comes up out of this well, basically, that had been sealed up. But then the princess, she basically uses her telepathy to turn on the headlights of the truck, which interrupts the whole process. And the Warlock screams. He's like, no! And he starts melting into a puddle of nothingness. And the stone gets ready to be dropped. All the stones are dropped and everything, including some kind of thing that had made him come alive in the first place. Which they go to pick it up after all of this because he is basically like melted and been absorbed into the ground. But then a hand all of a sudden comes up and snatches the necklace, indicating that there's going to be a sequel. So,
which there was.
But again, the sequel has nothing to do with the previous films. We'll get to that one next time in the Warlock trilogy. I give Warlock the Armageddon, let's see, 3 out of 5. What say you?
Also 3 out of 5.
By far, the best parts are Julian Sands as the Warlock and his interactions with the human populace. The druid, the older druids were kind of cool. I'll admit that too. Like they really understood what was going on. But my goodness, the 2 teenage leads,
they suck. It's as simple as that. They suck.
Yeah. No disrespect to the guy that played the main teenage lead, as I found out that he went on to basically be a producer of a lot of music videos and some other things later on. So he had a really successful career, and it's probably a good thing that he gave up acting.
Yeah, probably.
But I mean, what do you expect? And the effects could have been a little bit better. I mean, because we had just gotten Jurassic Park, and the effects in Jurassic Park, guys, I mean, come on. Now, I understand that it's a low-budget movie, but these were like PlayStation level type of cinematics and graphics, like PS1 type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
Actually, no. I think Crash Bandicoot, which came out on PlayStation, looked better than than the CGI.
Mind you, the movie's CGI effects are way better than another movie we covered, referring back to March of the Leprechauns. It's way better than Leprechaun in Space. Way better, as far as that goes. And they're done by the same company, by the way. And they're now all Lionsgate, because they kind of were merged together, and Lionsgate Trimark kind of became Lionsgate a few years later, when all their assets and everything were bought up. So, but it is a pretty fun movie, y'all.
Remember that Trimark merged with another company to make Lionsgate.
We found it on Tubi. You can check it out there. It's also available in your standard formats, guys. VHS, DVD. I'm sure it's available on Blu-ray too. Maybe not on the Blu-ray, but I know it's for sure going to be on VHS, DVD, and of course, multiple streaming services. So that's where you can find them at.
We found this one on Tubi. So.
That's also where we're going to watch Warlock 3 End of Innocence, which will probably be tomorrow's review, as we've been doing these trilogies. And I got a special announcement as far as this goes, that after the trilogy is done, we are going to attempt the Warlock, the video game.
We're going to be doing a long play on Warlock, the video game, on the gaming channel. So check that out whenever.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and you can come along for the ride on that, and probably experience some of our frustrations where we're like, okay, enough of this. Break out the game genie, level skip. That's really apparently, for those of you who are interested, that's really apparently the only codes for that game. But I do understand there are some other codes that you can get within the game that I've been researching. So maybe we'll experiment on some of that too. You got to have the second controller, which we do have. But overall, guys, stay tuned, because we got some trilogies coming up. We're finishing up this. And finally, because he's been pestering me about it for so long.
Men in Black?
Men in Black will be coming.
Yeah.
The original trilogy, because
International doesn't count. Reason why? There's no Will Smith and there's no Tommy Lee Jones, so it doesn't count.
I can dig it totally.
Fight me on that one,
And
Men in Black fans.
they don't even have that one lady from the first movie that became a special agent, do they?
No.
See there? I mean, what's up?
Well, actually, it's explained in 2 that she wanted to go back to her other life. So yeah, there's that, and also again, come on, guys,
Well,
you could have made it better for International.
But of course, if you have seen Warlock the Armageddon and you believe that it is the worst horror film about witchcraft of all time, it clearly is not, because there are several others that are far, far, far worse.
Like Warlock 3.
Yes. Well, we'll get to that tomorrow.
The first lady is waving at us.
We'll get to that one tomorrow. It's not quite. I mean, it's worse than the first 2, but yeah, we'll get to that one. But hey, just remember, we're just 2 idiots with a digital camera. Our opinions do not matter, except they actually do, because we have a YouTube show, except they actually don't. So, having said all that, guys, stay tuned. You know, we're going to get through the trilogy, and we're probably going to take the break because we got our vacation coming up. And, yeah. And we got the vacation coming up, and we're going to be doing our trip to St. Louis and whatnot. So we'll have that up for all of y'all as well. You'll be able to kind of see some of the sights on the way there. And that'll be a fun video for us to do. Out of the norm type of thing.
We won't be bringing this computer. We'll be bringing the other one.
I want to thank one of our subscribers for getting in contact with us and giving us some digital copies of some movies so that we'll be able to watch them and probably be able to include a few clips. We got to be very careful.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which we saw recently and we've been wanting to do a review of. So
yeah, that's
thank you for that.
Yeah,
thank you.
So we'll see you, we'll see you guys.
The Batman, which
we'll see you guys next time. And there isn't anything left to say except peace and love from Denny and Son. Bye.